So let's fly over the mtashana tvet college campuses located in the heartland of KwaZulu-Natal, the old Zululand. And what a better place to start the symbolic journey than on the famous battlefield of Izindwana, around about 1879, where the Zulus, with not much technical superiority at all, managed to take out the British. And actually at the point where they did it, around about 2:30 in the afternoon, there was a solar eclipse and the whole place went dark. And at that point, the Zulus overwhelmed the British. So it's a highly symbolic place. And the reason why I'm talking about it is it gives us a charged sense of the contested nature of this terrain we're within. And you will immediately see that we're dealing with a deeply rural space. And on top of that, the mtashana College tvet campuses stretch over a 700-kilometer span. Very difficult to hold this college together. Now this Nkutu tvet College campus, I hope I got it right, is mainly it does electrical engineering, both in the NCV and the NATED courses. And it also offers office administration, and then being a management assistant, and then human resources management. And that's really popular over here because there's a strong sense that you need like a white collar qualification to get you ahead of everyone else in the area who don't have much education, often don't even have a high school education. So there's a strong sense where you have to get something which signals the fact that you can do that kind of work. Now also interestingly, the Nkutu campus doesn't offer tourism. But right nearby are all the hugely historical sites of great significance. So we've seen Izindwana, but over here we also have the great Battle of Blood River, where the Boers made a vow and God protected them. But what is less talked about is that it was actually a part of a very deep Zulu civil war going on the one side between Dingaan and his various brothers who he was trying to kill. And that eventually, as a result of this battle, it was the great Mpande who took over and became the Zulu ruler for around 30-40 years. And on top of that, the boundary line, which was really located on the Tugela River, was settled upon as the zone where the Zulu kingdom was operating on, anywhere north of the Tugela River. So the relationship between, on the one side, the Boers and the Zulu people living in this area and the British is very complicated. As you can see, we're kind of now flying over Rorke's Drift, where there was a second battle after Izindwana, where the British heroically managed to fight off the Zulu warriors in that area. So there's a really interesting zone over there. And it's that kind of stuff you could imagine that if the TVET college actually got it as a part of their hospitality and tourism industry, that they do very well. But the comments I've actually heard is that they don't actually hire people from this college in the tourist areas. And to demonstrate that point, we can take a look at the Babanango campus. Interestingly enough, this was where Mpande was actually born. Now this campus does two things. On the one side, it does do a farming qualification, and you can see that there is some agricultural land around the area which can work with. And there historically has been agricultural sites being developed in this area. But it also does tourism management. And that's where I've heard their account that people are really struggling to use that qualification to access work in the area. And that actually deeply disturbs me in terms of the kind of work that the TVET college could be doing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull out of the Babanango campus and we're going to fly over the deeply kind of treed and forested area where the Mondi plantations are. And one of the things you'll notice is, number one, you'll see Dingaan's kraal over there. But number two, you'll tend to notice that the plantations tend to be on the southern side. So we're looking north at the moment. You'll see the plantations tend to be on the southern side because that's the cooler and wetter side where the trees actually grow. And we're slowly moving to Ulundi, the great capital of Cetshwayo, which he set up, which was burnt down by the British when they did finally defeat the Zulus. Also then the capital of the old homeland, Zululand. And then eventually also partly the provincial capital, shared with Pietermaritzburg. And located on the southern side of Ulundi is Emadleni, the Matleng Youth Training Center, which is situated on the Wit River. The most beautiful location I could actually imagine. And this also does a combination of farming on the one side and tourism management on the other side. And you can see it's got the extensive farming facilities, which I think is absolutely crucial for how we move forward in South Africa with tvet. But the tourism side is not well done, given the historical value that can be taken from this area and this zone. So let's quickly take a look at Ulundi. And you know what strikes me about the place is it's now a municipal capital, but it was historically a provincial capital. Before that it was the capital of the homeland Zululand. Before that it was the capital of the Great Mpande. But the location of the provincial capital in Pietermaritzburg really made Ulundi struggle. Currently struggling with water issues, electricity issues, and actually political issues where the ANC doesn't want Ulundi to really thrive, and Inkatha would love Ulundi to thrive. So now we've pulled out in a southerly direction and we're going to travel north, kind of tracking the coastline on the one side. And we're going to travel to Nongoma, which is around about 60 kilometers away from Ulundi, with two old campuses which are currently being restored. A lot of money is being spent. So you've got the old Kwaikazi College of Education, and then you've got the Nongoma Technical College. And both of these have been substantially reworked with the development of extra facilities like new improved residences. So what you have is with the Ngoma campus, really over there you can do civil engineering, you can do electrical infrastructure, you can do hospitality, you can do office administration, you can do public management and business management and HR, and you can also do electrical engineering and civil engineering. And the current campus which we're flying over, the Kwaikazi campus, currently I haven't seen anything offered there, and I think that's because you can see there's extensive reconstruction work being done, and this is 2019-2020. It's taken a very long time to get this campus going. And there's a lot of other infrastructure around here. So there's high schools, you've got the Ngoma Finishing School, you've actually got the King Beku Zulu High School right there. You've got a private hospital. You've actually got Lindi Zulu's palace sitting on the one side as well. So there is enormous state investment in Nongoma, and there's also a lot of traditional investment in Nongoma, but there's actually not much industry in the area. What fascinates me about this place is the fact that it was the location of the Ndwandwe people who were involved in that great struggle with Shaka Zulu. And once defeated, what happened was they had to flee outwards and northwards. And it resulted in all sorts of northern kingdoms being formed. In Mozambique, the great Gaza kingdom, Bashashanguve, and then you move up into Malawi and Tanzania. You know, it wasn't only the Boers who tracked northwards. There was other great migrations northwards. And you can see where this northwards migration would have gone, kind of stretching out towards the Pongola Poort Dam, which wasn't there at that stage, but certainly the Lubombo Mountains were. And you've got the Pongola River and the Mkuzi River with the huge sugar plantations. Now we're moving over the other side to the deepest and furthest part of northern KwaZulu-Natal, kind of caught in a boundary on the one side between Mozambique and Swaziland or Eswatini. Now, this particular area, you can see Cozy Lake right over there, and you've got all the lakes running down, Lake Sibaya and Lake St. Lucia. So there's huge tourist potential in the area, but it's really poor. The students who come to this college stay in the area. They mostly walk to the college from their local homes or the place where they're staying. They can only do office administration on the one side or be a management assistant on the other side. But the students themselves have expressed some confidence and satisfaction that they've actually got a local tvet campus. So even though the conditions in this campus are not great, the computers often aren't working and they're struggling with all sorts of infrastructure issues, the students certainly feel that it's a benefit to them to have this campus right nearby. Now I'd like to pull out in a southerly direction. We're going to track the coastline. You can see the Makatini Flats, which we're going to talk about a bit later on. You can see Lake St. Lucia, and we're now in the heartland of the old Zululand. And stretching ahead of you, you can see the places where the Ndwandwe people moved upwards all the way through Mozambique and into Malawi. Now we're moving across to the Vryheid campuses, and there's actually 3 different sections to it. You've got an engineering campus, you've got more of a business studies campus, and you've got the central office. And you can hear from the name Vryheid, freedom, that this is still a very Afrikaner type town, with the townships Bekuzulu and Mondlo on the one side holding the black people. And there's been a very powerful attempt recently to give an accounting of how the land was stripped away from the black people in the area, because what you currently have is you have quite rich, big commercial white farmers in the area, and they tend to go to the schools, which are interestingly located right next to the TVET college campuses. So for example, we're currently flying into the Vryheid campus, and you can see right next to it you've got Pioneer Hoërskool, which is hugely white and celebrates all the Afrikaner traditions in a very powerful way still. So that's your engineering campus on the one side. And then if we do a trip just around the historically white part of Vryheid, so you can actually see just how untransformed the town still is. And we're moving across now to the business studies campus, and right next to the business studies campus you'll see Vryheid Hoërskool, which by the way actually is interestingly enough more transformed than the Pioneer Hoërskool. And it is here that you can do management assistant on the one side, or if you like, you can do public management on the other side. So we are now pulling out of the business studies campus, and we're going to kind of travel over the town again, checking out the swimming pools and the nice houses and the industrial area. And we're moving across to the central office. Now you have to bear in mind that the campuses are spread over a 600-700 kilometer radius, and they've centralized all the functions at the central office. And this has actually caused some hardship in the ways that the different campuses function when they can't get things done because they have to send the processes back to the central office. But you can also understand the need to consolidate the administration in one place to keep control of finances. Now we're pulling out from Vryheid, and we're again looking towards the Indian Ocean and fly over the huge sugar plantations around the Pongola River and the Mkuzi River, with massive white farmers like old Charles Senekal, who actually, out of many of the white farmers, is deeply committed to development in the area. He's actually set up a pipeline, a water pipeline, to provide water to the people. He actually worked strongly with Jacob Zuma to make sure that developments happened in this area, and he's developed innovative land programs. But what he wants to do is he wants to give young black farmers a chance to firstly learn the skills after they've been to an agricultural college, and not just basic farming skills, but also the mid-level managerial skills needed to carry the farm over a number of years and market and sell the produce. So highly innovative work going on here between the different groups. We're now flying over the Makatini Flats with the huge floodplain. It's over there that sugar and cotton is being grown by small farmers who then sell their produce across to the big farmers. And the last place I want to go to is the place called the Border Cave, looking over Swaziland, because it's here that we have some of the first and earliest evidence of human beings living hundreds of thousands of years ago. And then continued evidence of human occupation from 200,000 years ago to 50,000 years ago to 20,000 years ago. So we've been in this area for a long time. These beautiful Lebombo mountains with the astonishing dam, the amazing Mkuzi farming projects which are trying to innovatively work in the new South Africa in dynamic and worthwhile ways. The Makatini Flats, where the old Afrikaners wanted to try and give huge plots of land, hundreds of hectares, to Afrikaners, which then didn't actually work. Actually, that's another whole whole story to South Africa. And then as we sweep slowly across, we start to get a sense of how the Ndwandwe people wandered all the way up and across into Mozambique and Tanzania, and a sense of the deep Zululand history of the struggles between the Anglo Empire, the British Empire, the Boers and the Zulus, with the attempt now to get TVET colleges going in this area over a 600-700 kilometer radius, struggling to bring technical and vocational skills to our people still living in deeply traditional areas. And it is colleges like mtashana that we have to understand and develop and support so that we can continue to reach our people in these beautiful areas of our country.